Sometimes life ties us up in little emotional knots, and painting can be such a gentle way to ease them loose. Today's watercolour is a true mood lifter. Soft colours, flowing brushstrokes, and plenty of space to just breathe and let go. There's no plan and no pressure, only the movement of paint and a few quiet moments to unwind together. So gather your brushes, settle in, and let's see how a little colour and creativity can lift your spirits. Hi everyone, Diane here. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to my studio in Cairo. I'm sorry about the echo. We haven't been able to get rid of it completely yet, but I do have a Christmas tree up, so that's something. Today I want to do something relaxing because it has been a very stressful day, and I'll talk about that a bit later. It's nothing desperate, but it certainly wasn't pleasant. Nothing to do with health or anything like that, just life. And I have selected today to use these paints here. This is this used to contain a whole set of gold paints from Lightwish, I think that was. And I've taken them out, not to throw away, but just because I don't want to use them. And I find this a very good way of organizing my palette when I am using some of my Kuretake colors. So in here, I have selected several out, actually mostly from the bottom strip here, as you can see, and two are from the main 48 set. And so what I've got here is Mars Yellow, doesn't look like yellow. This is Vermilion, this is Venetian Red, Yellow Brown, this is Beige Grey, this is Burnt Sienna, this is Cadmium Yellow, and that one is something called Green Grey, which is kind of mixture of green and grey, I suppose. Those are the colours I'm hoping are going to go together to make a reasonably harmonious painting. And I'm going to swatch them out here. I've written their names here so that we can see what they look like. I'm just going to just try a little bit of each one, actually. Shall I use a small brush or shall I use a bigger one than that? Let's use this. I like these quill brushes, actually. They're my new favourites. Right, so I thought we would do a kind of doodly upon sploshes kind of painting. Mars Yellow, that's because that doesn't require the least little bit of concentration. Well, it does actually, but what it doesn't require is any paint, any drawing skills, any imagination really. That's Mars Yellow. This is Vermilion. And the only thing it does is it helps you to relax a bit. So I've chosen what I hope is going to turn out to be a reasonably autumnal themed palette, a selection of colours. Venetian Red, that's not what I normally call Venetian Red actually, but that's what it is called in this set. Venetian Red to me is a much more reddish kind of colour, oddly enough. This is Yellow Brown. And the reason why I do this is because the reason why I swatch out the colours I've chosen is to see whether or not they're actually going to work. Because it's possible, even though I'm reasonably confident about choosing colours when I've used a set like this so much, it's possible also any time to make a mistake and you could pick something that really doesn't go. I have already tested out some of the mixes that I thought might be a bit dubious, which I think I showed you before how I would do that, just to make sure that something horrible didn't emerge. And I actually went against having chosen these two lighter greeny blues because I thought that they would probably clash and make nasty browns with the oranges that I've got. Right, we're up to Cadmium Yellow now. I'm going to have to get a new one of those, aren't I? That's a nice bright yellow. I use that one quite a lot because when you mix that with the other colours, it gives you nice oranges and things like that. And then Green Grey, which is my one kind of different colour, which I think is quite nice. A bit more on there and it goes a bit darker, obviously. Okay, so looking at that, I don't know, I think really the Mars yellow and the burnt sienna are quite similar to one another. So I probably could manage without burnt sienna. If I take that out, then I've got room then for, I'll take that one out. And I could put in another blue. How about indigo? Yeah. Okay, so we'll put indigo next to the blue-grey. That means then I don't have to mix all my dark greys from scratch, so let's try that. Yeah, I think that's better. Just write indigo there. I'm not quite sure why that's better, but I think it is. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see if it works. And if it doesn't, it won't. So there we will go. Okay, so we'll put that up here. And I'm going to use a reasonably big piece of paper for this because I'm going to use a reasonably big brush. This is a Meeden cold press 12 by 9. And we will put some washi tape around it, if I can find the end of it. Here we go. I know this is boring. I've said this before, but while I'm doing this boring thing, I'll tell you quickly what happened, what we're doing this morning. We're staying here in Egypt for 8 weeks. 8 weeks? Yes. 8 weeks this time. Various reasons. Main reason is because the house sitters that we chose needed us to be away for 8 weeks because otherwise they would have had a gap between sits. So we changed our plans and decided we could manage to be away for 8 weeks. So that's what we did. And unfortunately, that takes my daughter over her visa allowance. And not me, because I'm married to my husband, but her because she's not. And so we've been trying today. We had to go down to where we thought we would be able to get her visa extended. And it was the most horrendous journey through the most ridiculous traffic. And then when we got there, it was the most hugely, absolutely abominable crowds and unbelievable. And then when we got to the counter, finally, after sitting and waiting and standing and queuing and all the rest of it, in the significant heat and stuffiness of a very large building full of very many people, we were told, no, you're in the wrong building. So we had to come home completely, having failed with our mission. So feeling a little bit annoyed. So I thought I would try and do something really simple like this and get over myself, right? So that's what we're going to do. Okay, we've done paintings a bit like this before. What I'm going to do this time, though, is I'm going to put some circles of different shapes and I'm going to put some leaves, probably using one of these brushes here. And then we're going to embellish them. I think that's what we're going to do. And I've got here a size 4 quill brush. This is about a size 6 round. This is an 8 or 9. This one is about a 3 or 4 round. I'm sorry, I'm not using my normal brushes, and I haven't got even any numbers on these because these were from what would you call it? A sample set that I was doing a while ago, and it never came to pass. So they never got their numbers stamped on them. But that's all I've got here in Egypt. I haven't got anything else. Oh, what happened to that one that I bought the other day? There it is, this one. I bought this one here, and this is really good too, so I might use that as well. So I'll put that in there. And I've got a gold pen, a white pen, a black pen, and 3 other black pens. These ones are straight nibbed, single line, fine liners. everything in the description below. All I have mentioned before, definitely. This is a Tombow calligraphy pen, which goes thick and thin. And this is just a Signo gel pen, white and gold. And then here I have something I haven't used before, and I will use today. This is Kuritake's white ink, which is a kind of paste. It's a bit like the, what do you call it, Dr. Martens, but it's not quite the same, and that's quite nice for making white lines and dots and things like that with. So let's begin. Sorry about the preamble, but you know, you have to have a bit of a preamble from time to time, don't you? So let's get a palette. I'll move these out of the way. I'm using a plastic palette because I didn't want to carry my heavy ceramic ones here. And I knew I wouldn't be able to get anything here because you can't. And that's another thing that's been annoying us too. I won't tell you about that now because it'll make me sound like a right old misery. So this is the green grey from the Art Nouveau set. And that's a circle. I'll pick up a bit more and I'll drop a bit more into one side, and I'll probably make it into a bit more of an oval. If you want to make the paint run a little bit, you can always do a little bit of this. And you can neaten up the edge if you want to, just by dripping in with the paint again. When you do painting like this, one of the good things about it is that you can just enjoy the movement of the paint, enjoy the colour mixing. I'm going to take some cadmium yellow now, and I'm going to put that in with some of this green. And we know it'll harmonise because it's mixed with that, so the yellow will harmonise. And then I'm going to put one in here. And I have no plan, okay? I'm not planning this as I go. I have a rough idea that I'll probably make some of these things overlap with one another, but maybe not. Now, I'm not going to bother cleaning my brush too much, but I'm going to pick up some indigo and mix into the other two colours that were remaining on my palette. This one will be nice to do gold on top of a white. It will show up nicely. This one would be better with black on it as a thingy whatnot. And then I think what I'll do now is I might come down here and do a little bit of indigo, with blue-green, blue-grey, or whatever it is. Mix a couple of colours together. Let that do its own thing. And one more biggish one down here, perhaps. Let's think about one in this colour. And we can put a darker harmonising shade in. Put another colour in too if you want. And then perhaps we will have some of this colour. I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but we could have some of this. And we could do some small circles. And I don't actually want to take too long over this because I want to overlap a few things. I think I probably need another one there. What should I put there? Maybe this colour. Okay. So that's that. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to go for my indigo again, and I'm going to go round the outside of this one. And that's probably going to blend in, and it may or may not look good. And then I'm going to take the same indigo, and we are going to try to put some flower petal shapes. And I know they're going to run, and I want them to run. And some of them will, and some of them won't. I'm going to do some of them bigger, where they're going to run, and some of them smaller over there. And we'll just leave that. Okay, so whatever you feel. And I think I might put some of this colour. I wonder what that will look like around the outside of that. And in here, I'm definitely going to put something white. Let's go around this one as well. And maybe we'll come back to that because that's also running there too. So I'm going to take a bit of vermilion. Yes, let's go for vermilion. And we're going to go all the way from down here up to there. Then I'm going to mix some of this with the vermilion. And we'll put some nice reddish leaves in here. As I've said before, when you get to this point in a painting of this type, there is probably a very high probability that you will think this is definitely not going to work out. But don't pay any attention. You might need to do a few corrections if something's gone wrong. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to take that out of there. And if I had my hairdryer here, I would dry that. But I don't, so I'm going to leave that for the minute. And when it's dry, I will paint over the top of it, because that's quite obviously not quite right. And then I'm going to pick up some darker brown and mix it with something really dark, and then we'll just drop that in at the bottoms of these leaves. And then maybe we will come into these ones and let that run. We need a little bit more of that orangey colour here, I think. Let's go around the outside edge. I don't know why this paper is drying so slowly. Last time I used it, it was drying really quickly. I'm wondering if it's undersized. Let's go to this colour. You'll probably find when you do a painting and you're not in a particularly good mood, if that ever happens to you, or you feel upset by something someone said or something that's happened, you probably will notice that your paintings don't turn out looking very slick, if you know what I mean. And especially at this point where you are thinking, I don't know why I'm doing this. But you're not doing it to enter in the Turner competition for the best watercolour in England, are you? And so it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't. It really doesn't matter. What matters is that you feel somewhat better once you've finished. I managed to find a couple of frames today. I've been trying to look for a couple of frames for some paintings, not mine, some Japanese prints that were given to me by Mr. Miami in Japan. He's the one whose brushes I often use, and forgot to bring any of with me this time, so I'm having to scrabble around and find something that works. Yes, I've got a couple of prints from Japan and a couple of Egyptian papyrus paintings, which we bought years ago, absolutely years ago. And I want to frame them all and put them on the wall. You get tired of looking at your own art. I'm sure you know what I mean. Right, now this is I don't know what's going on here. I don't know why this isn't drying. I think the humidity must have gone up. But I think I'm going to have to go and get my hairdryer because I do need to start using the ink now. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, carrying on. It's dry now, or more or less. I'm going to make it wet again. Let's wash out my brush, pick up some vermilion. Let's put some vermilion in some of these circles here. And well, I think I might do a little bit with the white ink because I've been wanting to try this out. So let's take a small brush. And see what we can do with this. It's all very exciting. I don't need this anymore at the moment, so I'll put that over there. And let's start. It seems that you can actually water it down a bit. And it's still quite white, isn't it? I don't know what it'll do when it dries. Whether or not you can do a reasonably even line, fairly fine line with a brush does depend very much on the brush. And either my Drawwell ones from Mr. Miami in Japan, or I think Princeton do probably the best ones. I use Aqua Elite. Okay, it's very difficult to know exactly what to do. But I keep telling myself it doesn't matter. I'm sitting here listening to the traffic outside, which is so different from when we're in France, where we don't really hear any traffic at all. Occasional tractor goes past, or lorry or something, but actually, they seem to have banned all the lorries in Cairo. You don't really see very many where we are at all. Too many motorbikes, though. And you'll see as I'm just painting, very simple center line for the center vein kind of thing, and then it doesn't even matter if it's not completely in the center, and then trying to keep it reasonably fine. The side veins, and I think that makes quite a bit of difference straight away to the sophistication of the work. It is quite a clever trick. And this is good practice, actually, for me. Trying to get nice, thin lines, like I say. They won't be 100% consistent. But I'm not aiming to be a botanical artist. Those days are long gone. where I aim to be anything actually, apart from basically alive. Yeah, I think, oops, wrong colour. I think this makes a lot of difference. I've mentioned this before, but every time I do this, for some reason, and I don't really know why, I start to think of the Rockford Files, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Whenever I do anything repetitive, it's because when I had my first business, when I used to make clothes for a living, and in the evenings after the children had gone to bed, I used to spend a lot of time pressing garments and used to have television on, and I never really saw any of the programs, but I listened. It's like listening to the radio, because I couldn't keep looking because I was pressing with the iron. I would press my hand if I wasn't careful. So one of the things that we used to listen to a lot was James Garner's Rockford Files. And it always comes into my mind whenever I do anything like this, repetitive like this. Funny old thing, the brain, isn't it? Okay, well, I'm enjoying this. I think this white ink is possibly the best white that I've ever had. I'm going to put some little white dots in these. We'll try and make them a bit more like lines. And let's try painting leaves or petals in this one. Let's see if we can do some fine lines across. Yeah, we can do that. And can we do a spiral? That's tricky. That's tricky, but that's okay. And then up here, well, I wanted to use gold on there, so I'm going to stop with the white for the minute, and we'll go to a gold pen. And let's try that out on here, see how that one works. Yeah, that's okay. Do something here. Okay, now let us do, is this all dry? Yeah, I think so. Let's do some branching. Yeah, that looks quite good. And maybe we can go to the black and perhaps And we could do some dots, couldn't we? What size is this? 0.5, is that going to be big enough? Maybe I want a bigger one than 0.5. Let's see what I've got here. Let's try this. This is an acrylic brush tip pen. You can get darker and light, bigger and smaller dots. If you press hard, you get a bigger one. I think that's quite effective. Yeah, so that's that. That's another idea. I think I might go for the white pen here on this one. And I think I'm going to do lots of little circles. For the centre of this flower. And then we might go to gold. And then perhaps I'll outline and put the vein in the middle of these leaves, petals rather. There we are, and then we could, I don't know whether we can get this to work. No, that's not going to work. But we could use our ink. I didn't have to even refill my brush for that, did I? That's very good. Okay, so let's find our thick and thin. This one is good because it goes thick and thin like that. And we could do, what could we do? I think maybe well, we could do dots around the outside of one of these. And then we could do I know how difficult it is to think of things to do when you're doing doodles. It really is. And at home I've got a little file of ideas which I keep to hand, but I didn't bring it with me this time. I'm going to fill these ones in with gold. So I'm having to, sorry, to make it all up as I go along. But that's probably a good idea to do that, really, because it's more practice for the brain. And all of them can be different. None of them need to be the same, but you're obviously using the same materials And you don't need hundreds of different things. Some white ink. I like this white ink. You could have gold ink instead of the gold pens, and you could use a dip pen, and I might do that in a minute actually. I might do that. I've got gold ink somewhere. I'm just going to go over this with a gold pen. And then I think we'll go heavy and light. Heavy and light. And then maybe we'll just do dots around here. Like that. And maybe we'll go around these ones. Perhaps we can do some dots coming up the stem here. The other thing that this reminds me of is embroidery, because I feel like I'm just adding layer upon layer, like if you're doing embroidery. On here, we could probably put something on using gold paint. This is Watercolours, is it called? I can't read that. Pearl colours, gold and silver pearl colours, Colero. I think this one says it's made in Germany. And let me see, shall I put silver on there or shall I put gold? I don't like silver actually. I don't know why. So I'll put some gold using the brush. I think this video is going to be an exploration into small mark making using as many of my materials that I can, which I have brought with me to Cairo. Do you think that would make a nice snappy title? I think it probably would, wouldn't it? Okay, so a little bit more water on there. Going to have to put the light on in a minute. Let us put some big open leaves. It's getting dark. Yes, what is it? It's 5:30. Stem up there, perhaps. Another one up there. I can't really tell whether this is going to show up because the light's getting so bad I'm practically painting in the dark. I think this will show up. And I'm going to use the same gold and I'm going to put circles around here. Since I've gone to all the trouble of activating it. Okie dokie. I think I want to put something in the middle of this one, something probably bluish. Why don't we just put a nice yes, I'm quite happy with that. And now, I think the last things that we're going to do, we will have to do with pen. I'm going to go around with white pen first. And maybe some gold. And I think we can put some darker centers in these. And maybe we'll add a few more of these circles, which space fillers really, aren't they? But you could make them more interesting by giving them sort of open lines. I think everything I had intended to do for this piece of work was not done. I didn't allow the colours to blend with one another. I kept them separate, although I didn't mean to. I didn't do an overall kind of black background colour. I didn't use a dip pen, although I had intended to. I didn't stick with autumn colours, that is to say, mostly oranges and browns, but made the blues more dominant, although I hadn't intended to. It's quite strange, actually. I'm going to join some of these together, although I hadn't intended to. The ones that will join. Why not? I mean, really, why not? I think I could do with a couple more over here, but I'm not sure if I'm going to bother. Maybe one red one. Okay, well, if you're still with me, you're a hero. If not, maybe you will come back. Let's put something in here. This is the kind of painting that really does take quite a long time, and I don't know how long it's been since I started it, but I think it might be an hour. And, well, I mean, as I said, we could carry on doing things like this. Put circles in the middle. Whatever you want to do. So I'm going to stop there and I'm going to call that a day. I hope you enjoy having a go at that. You can't fail. It's really easy work. Do not get depressed after the first few minutes because it'll all come right in the end. And there we go. Hope you enjoyed that, like I said. And I'll let you go now. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy your rest of the week. I don't remember what day it is. And take care of yourselves, yes, and do lots of painting. And I'll see you again soon in a couple of days. So bye for now, everybody. Bye-bye.